Hi, folks. Set up here. Give me a moment. This is Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot, and I'm going to be doing some free live readings today. Since the last time I live streamed, I've updated my phone, the operating system, and I see that my camera's default is much more zoomed in than in past live streams. I'm going to try it out. I'm not sure even how I would change it, but let's work with it today and see how it goes. The everything is much more zoomed in, but I mean, I guess that means you'll get a clearer view of the cards. The problem would come in the event that I do any larger spreads or larger readings beyond like three cards or maybe a line of five or seven at the most. So I'll probably stick, as I usually do anyways, to three card readings today. That tends to make the most sense for time constraints as well. All right, let me burn some Palo Santo. Get some nice cleansing smoke going. Okay, and as I said, I am Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot. I'll start putting together the list for readings in just a moment. Um, let's see. It's been a little while since I've had the opportunity to live stream. I've been very, very busy with work, but I'm excited to get back into it today. I'm trying to do this as regularly as I can. So let's see. I've got my candle lit. I've burned some Palo Santo. I've got my deck here. Today, I am using the CBD Tarot de Marseille. That's the Convert Ben Dove Tarot de Marseille by the late Dr. Yoav Ben Dove, published by US Games. Let's see. I've got a cup of tea to give me some energy. Today, I'm drinking Bigelow vanilla chai tea. All right, and a lot of you already know the routine here, so to speak. But for those of anyone who might be new, I'd encourage you to read through the video description and take a look at the messages I've placed in the chat, the disclaimers, and also the pinned chat message indicating how you can request a free reading. I'm also now available for paid private readings. If that interests anyone, you can find the Linktree link in the description of this video. I'm also available via email at tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com if you would like to inquire about a private reading. I offer live one on one video conferencing readings and also pre-recorded audio readings where I send a picture of the cards and the audio of my reading of those cards in response to your question, whatever that might be. Okay, let's put together our list. And so I'll do this in order, first come, first served. So Sob 6278, you will be first. And Vanilla and Pie is next. Followed by Ari the Fire Queen. Cool. Okay, so before I start getting to the list, let me do some preliminary shuffling. And I actually am going to do a little reading for myself, I think, prior to starting on um, the free readings for today. I'm having some friends over tonight. We're going to watch RuPaul's Drag Race. And I thought I'd pull a couple cards just to see how that's going to go. So that's where I'm going to start today. Okay, so let me indulge myself here. How is my friendly evening hosting a viewing party? It's not a party, it's a small get together of RuPaul's Drag Race going to go tonight. All right, I've got the Hanged Man, Seven Swords. Okay. Okay, well, um, for reasons that I won't go into, I can expect there to be some discomfort this evening. There's going to be a little bit of, shall we call it interpersonal conflict? How about that? And it's going to involve just a situation that really kind of can't be helped. Uh, that maybe involves someone feeling like that they have no agency. I know who that is, but I'm not going to go into details on the recording. So there's probably going to be some awkwardness. There's going to be a little bit of someone feeling like their world is upside down at the moment, and that's going to create a challenge, right? A test for that person, but it's gonna be okay. With 4 cups here, I'd say, overall, the final outcome of the evening is going to be one of comfort. We might even say family, right? With the 4 of cups, that's a card that I'll sometimes interpret in terms of family, or the home, right? Warmth, hominess, coziness, that kind of thing, gathering up on the couch together, that kind of feeling. So overall, I think it's going to go well, but in the middle of it all, there's going to be some awkward, something that kind of pinches. We could put it that way. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see in a couple of hours here if that turns out. Okay, so first on my list then is Sob 6278. Thanks for asking how I am. I'm doing great, Sob. I'm very glad the weekend's almost here, and I'm ready for a break from my day job. So, Sab, if you're here and would like to post your question in the chat, you are welcome to do that. And we'll see. There's no timestamps on the chat, so I don't know when Saab made their post or if they might be here. So this is the second call for Saab 6278. All right, so last call for Saab 6278. If you're here, you can post your question. All right, so if Saab is not here, Vanilla and Pie is up next. So, Vanilla and Pie, if you'd like to post your question, you are welcome to do that. And yes, Sunshine Pattern, I can add you to the bottom of my list. All right, so we have a question from Vanilla and Pie. Will my business for mothers be overall successful and profitable that I start this year? That I will start this year. Okay, so you're starting a business for mothers this year, and you're wondering, is it going to be successful? Is it going to be profitable? How's it going to go? All right, we can do that. And I see, Saab, that you are in the chat here. So um, what I'll do is add you back on to the bottom of the list. And I also see Laureen, I'll add you to the bottom of the list as well. And it's Laureen, Asher, Margaret. And I will add Lux Agenda to the bottom of the list. Okay. All right, so we're reading at the moment for Vanilla and Pie. And I suppose I should, while I shuffle, remind everyone. So as I've added you to the list, when it's your turn, I'll call your name 3 times. And if you are here, then I'll read for you. And if you're not, I'll have to skip over you. But of course, I'm always happy to read for you in the future. All right. So Vanilla. Oh, and my candle's gone out from the wind of the cards. I'm going to leave it out for a minute because I feel like anything that happens during a reading is meaningful. So I'm going to leave that out for the moment. All right. So we want to know whether Vanilla and Pie's new business for mothers will be successful and profitable. All right. All right. So here we go. We are hoping for coins because we have the word profitable built right in there to the question. And so obviously we want to see coins. We're hoping for coins, but we'll see what we get. Um, we may be able to give a optimistic answer even if we don't see coins. It all depends on what comes up in the cards. All right, so we have 3 batons, 8 batons, and 2 cups. So this suggests not necessarily profitable in terms or primarily in terms of like cash money, uh, but putting in work at first, maybe um, less than you might hope, and then quite a lot from 3 to 8. So much, in fact, that the pressure may build to a certain extent. Like you may be increasingly hopeful about what kind of profits the business could yield, and also maybe a little bit fearful about like, gosh, this is moving very quickly. Things are moving very fast. The 3 to 8 batons and the batons in general are a very fast suit. And if any of you might be familiar with the Rider Waite Smith deck, which most tarot enthusiasts are, you might recall what the 8 of batons looks like in that deck. And in some versions of that deck, that card is called Swiftness, and in particularly the Toth deck, right? If I'm remembering correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Things moving quickly, right? But the results of that effort and working and things going quickly and busyness and all of that, the outcome here is 2 cups rather than, we'd love to see maybe 10 coins, right? That would be a wonderful thing to see, as much money as you could possibly want. But instead, we're getting 2 cups. And so, what that suggests to me is that all the work and effort you're putting in is resulting in very meaningful exchanges with people, right? With twos, I often think of exchanges, right? One gives to the other and the other gives back, that kind of thing. But here, what's being exchanged rather than coins, we're seeing an exchange of cups. And so here we would think of meaning, compassion, something that makes people feel fulfilled and happy, right? Like something that means a lot to them, which we can certainly imagine at some point, then those good feelings turning into money, but it may not happen right away, right? I do think you're going to have work, but it could be because of the other business expenses or because of how things are organized or debt or like whatever it might be. It looks like the more immediate payoff from the business um, is about making people feel fulfilled in what they're getting out of your business. You said it's a business for mothers. Um, and so I think you are going to begin to accomplish that, but the money may not flow immediately, if that makes sense. We could look at the surprise card at the bottom of the deck and get a little more nuance on this. And so the card at the bottom of the deck is the world. And so this suggests to me, again, not necessarily money, but something being completed, something being elevated, like the business idea is solid, is sound, it's arriving, right? We think of this figure on the world card. She's sort of elevated herself up so that she's self-sufficient, self-reliant, right? And so I think that's a really good thing to see. It isn't necessarily in terms, strictly speaking, of money right away, but these are all good. Well, we could call them omens, I suppose. But if you're thinking about like, how should I prepare for this business upcoming, like I wouldn't suggest that you plan to survive financially off of this business in the next year, right? That would be my suggestion. I think it'll get off the ground. I think a lot of people are going to feel um, very pleased by it with the Two of Cups. But seeing no coins here, I'd say, like, make sure you have some other means of supporting yourself, because it takes a while for a business to get off the ground generally. So, yeah. All right. But, no swords, no tower, no hangman. So that's good to see. Having the world card there in the background as a surprise suggests, a great sense of like you've completed something. Yeah. You're welcome, Vanilla and Pie. Okay, so after Vanilla and Pie, next up we have Ari the Fire Queen. And so, hi, Ari. You're welcome to post your question in the chat. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to scroll through the chat because I see I've missed tons of messages. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad you're all here. Let me see. Where are we? Lux Agenda. Let's see. And so I'm adding to the bottom of the list, I'm adding Selama Watena. And Mulberry Twist, I'll add you. Okay. And Storytime Kitchen, I'm adding you. Okay. And sure, Mark, I'll add you also to the bottom of the list. And then at this point, I think I'm going to close the list for now. I may reopen it. Let me go over the list so that everybody knows where they are. I'll hold it up. So we've just done Vanilla and Pie's reading, and I'm about to do Ari, the Fire Queen's reading. And then here's the rest of the list for now. Sunshine Pattern, Sob 6278, I put back on. Lorene Asher, Lux Agenda, Salama Watena, Mulberry Twist, Storytime Kitchen, and then Mark. All right. And so that's the order I'll plan to go in. I'll call each person's name 3 times and ask you to indicate in the chat that you're here. And if you're here, I'll do your reading. And if you're not, I'll have to skip over you, but you can always come back another day. Okay, so Ari's question is, why did I suddenly start thinking about Daniel back around my junior or senior years? I haven't stopped thinking about him since. Wow. So you've been thinking about this guy for quite some time and you're wondering how come? Okay, let me shuffle. Seems like he's sort of stuck in your brain. He's on your mind and you're wondering why. Okay, so why is Ari thinking, or why did she start thinking and continue to think about this person, Daniel, and can't get him out of her mind? Let's see what we get. Here we go. All right, 6 swords, the lovers. Hmm. And the ace of coins. Is there any way that he might seem off limits? Like, do you know, is he dating someone else? That's the first thing that comes to mind looking at this, is that uh, he's like surrounded by swords in a way that makes him seem like you can't quite get to him. And then seeing the lover's card here, it's like he's caught between 2 women, and then Cupid's up here with the bow. Um, Makes me think like, is he okay, you're saying you were working okay. So you were sort of working at the same place, which of course makes things awkward, and then he had a girlfriend for a while, but I just recently saw him on a dating app. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes when somebody is kind of forbidden, that might be part of the reason why he seems alluring. I don't think that tells the whole story, but I think that might be part of it. The other thing that I might say is with the lovers coming up here, like maybe Cupid aimed his bow at you, like maybe it's love. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes we don't get to control or maybe we never get to control who we're attracted to, and so maybe Cupid shot you with the bow. um Seeing the ace of coins makes me think also, um you see him as someone, mm, well, valuable might be a way of putting it, right? um I also think with the ace of coins, uh do you find him intelligent? Like, is he, is he a very smart kind of person? Like, are you drawn to his mind at all? Um, because I sometimes, associate that with the ace of coins, that it could have to do with the way he's able to, focus his intellect on things to, achieve results. And while I'm looking at this, Fabi, I'm gonna add you in after sunshine pattern because it sounds like I missed you. And Ari says, yes, he's smart. It's said on his profile that he reads and has a career with software. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so um, I think it could be, on the one hand, it could be, well, not on the one hand. Um, in the first case, there's maybe a sense that he is kind of the one who got away a little bit. Like maybe you had a moment where there was an opportunity to um, get together with this person, and then it kind of didn't happen. And that could be part of the attraction, right? Like, what would have happened? What if those years ago I had said something or he had made a move, right? And so um, the wondering about what could have been, I think, is part of it. The other part of it, I think, is Sometimes when someone feels off limits, they can become more attractive. It could also be because of Cupid, like maybe Cupid really shot you with his bow, so to speak, right? And you just are attracted, right? Sometimes you're just attracted because you're attracted. But finally, I'd say, I think it's sort of in the last instance, he's intelligent and he has a great potential in terms of his intellect. And let's be real, this is a coin, this is money. So, um, he's someone who is employed, right? Who's like bringing home the bacon. And that can certainly be attractive too. So I think there are a lot of reasons here why he's stuck on your mind or stuck in your mind. Yeah. Um, he's he's kind of the one who got away. He's the one who maybe was seeing someone else or maybe is seeing someone else, right? And so he's taken, and so you can't have him. And so that makes him a little more attractive, perhaps. You Cupid shot you, so you like him just simply because you like him, and finally, there's the practical concern of, you know, he's smart and has a job, and who doesn't want a guy with who's smart with a job, right? I would say too, you said you don't know how much he makes, but, aces are about potential, so whether or not he makes money now, seeing an ace of coins doesn't necessarily mean there is money now, but it does indicate, um great potential, right? Wealthy means potential wealthy means, even if, um, maybe he doesn't have them now, but I think you said he works in software, right? And so if you think about where that career might go in the future, um, that could be, those practical issues play into our attractions, right? It's not. It's not usually one thing that attracts us to a person. And I think when it is one thing, those relationships may not last, right? If you're like, "Well, I only like this person because of this one thing," well, that may not be a relationship that's going to stand the test of time, but when there are a bunch of things, the whole package, right? Um, then then, uh, then there's greater potential for something more long term there, right? Generally speaking, right? Okay, so yeah, I mean, you didn't ask what you should do, but if you can't get him off your mind, you can't get him off your mind. So maybe consider doing something about that if it seems like the right time for it. So next up, I believe we have sunshine pattern. All right. And we've got our question. Great. And so sunshine pattern wants to know, will G contact me this month? He is a love interest. I think I'm going to relight my candle. Let's see if I can keep it lit this time. Okay, so the question is, will G contact Sunshine Pattern this month? We've got the Hanged Man, the Star, and 9 coins. Let me look at this a minute because it's a little contradictory. Okay, so here's what's going on. These are the two of you as I read it. You, the star, and him, the hanged man. The hanged man is not in a position to do anything, including contact someone. And so, looking just at these cards, I would say no. Uh, the hanged man has his hands tied behind his back. He's hung up by his heels. He's not taking any action whatsoever. Right. And then, here you are sort of, how should we say, prepared to give yourself to him, right? And so, if, at first, before we get to the last card, seeing these two next to each other, my answer would be no. But seeing the 9 of coins after this suggests that at some point he's going to change his mind. Okay. So, um, when in the month, I would expect it to be late or like maybe even the beginning of the next month. But I think what's going to happen is his right now feeling like there's nothing he can do. He has no power here. He's not going to act. The situation can't be helped. He's resigned himself to just like, this is how things are. Right. And there's nothing I can do or should do to get closer to this woman. Uh, Something new is going to enter the picture, right? With the nines, I think about the way that we've got the 8 coins that are so beautifully symmetrical, and then the ninth one comes along and throws that all off balance. It's a new element that gets added. It's like a new idea, a new thought that comes into his mind, that's going to push him, I think, to act differently, right? In other words, to take some action. So right now, the answer is he's not prepared to do anything. But I if this passes as it seems like it's going to, based on the cards that are coming up today, then you can expect he will change his mind about that and contact you, right? Um, I do think there's so my answer to your question is sort of yes, if, right? Like not now, but yes, if this changing of his mind is powerful enough to get him out of his hanged man state. Because seeing the hanged man here suggests that he doesn't feel like he has the power to do anything. And so, like, I don't know any of the context or the background here, but if you want this person to contact you, um, maybe it would be helpful to understand that he doesn't believe that he can right now, right? Like not practically. It's not like he doesn't have a phone or anything, but he doesn't believe that it's within the realm of possibility that he would contact you. And so he needs a push. He needs something, some extra thing to come along that pushes him out of that mindset. And when he gets that, then things will change. But until he gets that, he's going to keep hanging upside down doing nothing. Yeah. That's what these are saying to me. Yeah. He thinks like, I think of the hanged man as like he's given up or he's given in or he's like, this, it is what it is. I'm hanging around. It can't be helped. This is how it's going to be now. Right. And so he needs something to jar him, to jolt him, to shock him a little bit into realizing he doesn't have to just hang there. Right. Uh, but, um, but that will need to happen before he's gonna take an action. Yeah. Okay, so if I've got my list right, I'll hold it up now so y'all can see where we are. I believe Fabi is next. I missed Fabi, so I threw Fabi in there. And then if Saab is here, I'm not sure Saab is here, but Saab would be after. And then the rest of the list today is Laureen, Lux Agenda, Selama Witena, Mulberry Twist, Storytime Kitchen, and Mark. And for now, I'm going to keep the list closed. I may open it again, depending on how much time it takes to get through the current list and whether people are here for their readings or not. But I don't want to overextend myself. And usually, about 10 readings is when I start to get tired and time tends to run out too. So I may open the list again, but I don't want to promise that and then not be able to follow through. And so I like to keep my commitments. And so I'm committing to what you see here on the screen. And I may commit to more, but I'm not going to promise it. Okay, so we have our question from Fabi. Let me take a sip of tea here. And Mark asks if I do general readings. And that's a great question. Um, and here's my answer. I prefer, or I have found rather, that the more specificity I have with the question, the more specific I can be with my answer. But I will answer any question. That's not true. Privately, I will answer any question that is asked of me. On YouTube, there are some things I probably wouldn't answer. But privately, I will answer, with the right um, disclaimer. I'll answer any question just about that's asked of me. Now, with a general reading, my preference would be that we narrow it down at least a little bit in terms of what I call or have learned to call the four major categories of like, are we talking about love, work, money, conflict? So if we can narrow it down there, then that usually helps a little bit more. Um, but I will throw the cards down and read what I see. It's just that if I have no context, it can be tougher to say something that is genuinely meaningful and that hits the mark. Yeah. Okay, so let me shuffle for Fabi's question. And Fabi wants to know, may I ask, how did my person feel about the fact that I've ghosted him? He was acting hot and cold, and I just gave up and stopped replying out of the blue. All right, so we'll do that reading for Fabi. And in the meantime, I want to remind everyone that I'm now available for paid private readings. If you're interested in that, you can check out the Linktree link in the video description. You can also contact me at tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com. if you'd like to inquire about a reading. Okay, so let's see. How did Fabi's person feel about the fact that Fabi ghosted him? Two batons? Six swords. And five cups. Okay, so the center card here and the largest in terms of number is the six of swords, and so I, I think he feels at the center of it hurt, because he feels hmm, like you backed out of a kind of like an agreement, or in a social relationship that you exchanged, right? Like, he lays down one baton, you lay down the other. Like there's a mutual effort being put in here, right? And then he feels that that was abandoned, right? Backed out of that. Instead of mutual effort, we've just got coldness. And so there's that. That's the first thing that I see. Uh, the 5 of Cups is interesting here because it seems to go against or contradict a little bit, at least in the way that I read the Marseille Tarot, goes against what we see in the first two cards. And so, for those of you who may not be totally familiar with the way that I read, um, I'll just let you know, like I am interested in exploring the cards and almost kind of teaching how to read them because I sort of can't help it. And so, um, if you're interested in reading the tarot for yourself, then I hope that this is helpful to you. If you have no interest whatever in that, then you may find some of what I'm saying redundant or boring, and I apologize for that, but I do what I do, and so when I see the 5 of Cups here, I think, because cups are about enjoyment and having a good time and being comfortable and all of that kind of really good stuff, and so seeing the end of this string of 3 cards end with a 5 of Cups is is odd, right? Because it suggests that there is something about your ghosting him, as you put it, um, that resulted in him having, like, a good time, right? Now, 2 things I wanna say about it. Number 1, um, a 5 of Cups next to swords isn't necessarily a good time that lasts or that is worthwhile. You might think, well, maybe he went out and had 5 drinks at the bar and now he has a hangover, right? 5 cups and then the six swords that maybe pound into his brain, right? So it could be that kind of thing. In other words, it could be he did something temporarily fun to distract himself from the pain that he was feeling, right? And then the other thing I'd look at is the way that the numbers, right? 2, 6, 5. The biggest number is indeed the swords. So I would say that more than anything, he's cut by it. He's pinched by it. It hurts him, right? And so I suspect that what we're seeing here is that he's feeling like you've backed out of putting in effort into the relationship, and that hurts him. And so he's trying to feel, um, shall we say, physical or embodied pleasure, right? Like, drinking was the first thing that came to mind. With fives, I think of the body, right? Because we have four limbs in the head, right? And so in classical cartomancy, fives are often associated with the body. And so five of cups would be doing something that causes one to feel pleasure, physical pleasure, right? Um, but it might be that he's doing that to distract himself from the even greater sensation, which is that of, well, pain, right? Because swords, I would read in terms of pain. Uh, so that's how I'd answer your question, right? That he feels hurt by it and that he's finding ways to try to um, get over that hurt and that it's not quite working. And I say that it's not quite working because six is more than five. There's more pain than there is pleasure here, right? Six swords, five cups. So I hope that is helpful, Fabi. And okay, so next up on my list is Sob 6278. I added you back. If you're here, I can read for you. Otherwise, well, we'll call it 3 times. So that was the first time for Sob. And welcome to anyone who's joining. My name is Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot. And at the moment, I've got my list closed because I've made commitments to read for these folks. And so my goal is to honor those commitments. But I may reopen the list if things move quickly and or if folks are not here and I skip over them, then there'll be more time for readings later. But I don't want to overcommit myself at the moment. So okay, so second call for Sob 6278. And I have started offering paid private readings for those of you who might be interested in one of those. You can check out the Linktree link in the video description for more information about the paid private readings. I offer one-on-one video conferencing readings, as well as pre-recorded audio readings. You can also email me at tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com if you're interested in inquiring about a reading. Okay, so last call for Sob 6278. Okay, so if Saab is not here, then Laureen Asher is next. And so, Laureen, if you are here and would like to post your question in the chat, I'd be happy to read for you. All right, Laureen is here. Hi, Laureen. I don't think I've read for you before. Welcome. And if I have and have forgotten, I apologize. All right, so Lorene wants to know, will the Libra try to contact me again in the month of March? Okay, so for Lorene, will the Libra try to contact Lorene again in the month of March? Nine Cups, Force or Strength. Hmm. And the Magician. All right, let me take a look at these. Let me, prior to answering your question, let me ask a follow up question. And it has to do with the first card here. Do you want this person to contact you? Are you like hoping that he will, or are you actually hoping that he won't? Or maybe do you not know? I suppose that's a legitimate answer too. And the reason I'm answering your question with a question is because the Nine of Cups has shown up. And the Nine of Cups in classical cartomancy, one traditional meaning of this card is the wish card, right? And it suggests that you'll get your wish, right? And it has varying meanings. It doesn't always mean that. But when I see that next to two human figures, right, facing each other, my first response, the first thing that comes to mind is to say yes, um, assuming that it is your heart's desire that this person contacts you, that this person will contact you. You want him to, yeah. So then my answer to you will be yes. I believe that this person is going to contact you. Your heart's desire is present here on the table in the form of the Nine of Cups. Here you are, and maybe you feel like you're struggling a little bit, like you feel like you're trying to pry his mouth open if we read him in this first image as he's kind of the lion, and I suppose I don't know if it's a he or not, but the Libra person is like a lion, and you're like, "Why won't you talk to me?" Right? Like you're trying to pry his mouth open, right? Um, and then he's or the magician person, the Libra person, has a lot on his table, so maybe he's very busy. That's one way to think of it. But seeing the 2 of you facing each other suggests a conversation, right? Suggests that you're seeing eye to eye on something, suggests that you're having contact, right? And so anytime, in questions about relationships or like, "Are we gonna talk again? Are we gonna meet up again?" When I see two human figures, facing one another as I do here, I tend to think, yes, there's going to be some conversation, some interaction, some exchange that happens between these 2 people, right? Um, you to sort of delve into it a little bit more, which is gonna go beyond simply answering your question, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw a couple more things out here because, um, you sort of asked a yes or no question like, "Will this person try to contact me or will this person not?" And I'm saying, "Yes, this person will try to contact you." But there's more nuance that I can throw in there, and so I'm gonna do it. Um, so, um in addition to the 9 of cups being traditionally the wish card saying you'll get your wish, right? It can also indicate that someone has a change of heart. And that also does suggest to me an affirmative answer to your question, right? Like, will this person contact me again? Yes, because there's going to be a change of heart, right? Their feelings are going to change for the better. With cups, I tend to think that usually means that things are going for the better. And so that's great. I do think I think you represented here as the force card um, suggests that you are. Um, Well, maybe trying to force it a little bit, right? And so one issue, one potential moment of conflict that could come up here is um, if this Libra person feels like you might be coming on too strong, right? That could potentially, not definitely, but could potentially be um, a concern, right? And then the other potential concern to consider is with the magician. The magician is someone who's very capable. They're very good at um, getting people's attention and orchestrating their life so that things go their way. They can be very busy, but like they take care of all of their business and all of that. Um, but the other thing that can sometimes be a concern with the magician is they can be tricky, right? And so um, that would just be something I would say like to look out for, right? Just like keep in your mind is are you aware of everything that is going on with this person? I'm not saying that they're like going to lie to you. That would be the devil more, right? But with the magician, they can sometimes make things seem one way when they're actually different, right? With the magician, I always wonder like what's under the table, right? I might ask that. And the other thing with the magician that I often wonder is the table's only got 3 legs. How does it stand up? How does he get it to do that, right? How come that table doesn't just fall right over? And so that would just be something else to keep in mind, right? That anytime that I'm reading about a relationship between people and I see the magician, I tend to just caution, like, make sure you know what's under the table, right? But the concise and straightforward answer to your question is, yes, I believe so. They will contact you or attempt. You asked if they would try to contact you. And so, yes, they will try to contact you. Okay. So, next on my list, I have Lux Agenda. Lux Agenda, if you are here, you can go ahead and post your question in the chat. And welcome to anyone who might be joining. I'm Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot. Take a look at my Linktree link in the video description if you're interested in a paid private reading. I offer one-on-one video conferencing. We can do Zoom or Google Meet. And I also offer audio recorded readings if you'd be interested in one of those. All right. Hi, Lux. Go ahead and post your question. Oh, great. There it is. Fantastic. All right. And so Lux Agenda asks, will my person wish me happy birthday on my birthday? We are no contact at the moment, and my birthday is in May. All right. So you want to know if you're going to get at the minimum like a text or something, a happy birthday at the minimum on your birthday in May from this person. My birthday is also in May. Are you a Gemini or a Taurus, Lux? Taurus, me too. Yeah, well, so mine's on the 20th. And so I'm Taurus, but cusp of Gemini. So for those who do cusps, I'm right on the edge there. Okay, so for Lux Agenda, will my person wish me happy birthday on my birthday? Here we go. 9 batons, 10 swords, and 4 coins. All right, let me just look at it a moment. Well, the first the center card in particular suggests that whatever went on between the 2 of you, this person is not over it. Um, right, that, like, 10 of swords is ouch, big ouch with 10 of swords there, and so, um, on the one hand, that suggests that if they're very hurt, they may not be interested in, um, wishing you happy birthday, but on the other hand, suggests they can only be so hurt if it mattered a lot, right? If the connection between the 2 of you, was important, at one time, whether it remains so or not at the moment. But, um seeing the 9 of batons first suggests to me that this person is going to make a change in their behavior towards you, and that this is going to have to do with the pain that they feel, and that it may be about trying, from their perspective, trying to put an end to it. Uh, and I think they're going to do that by sending a message. And the reason I say that is the 4 of coins looks to me like a message. Um, the 4 of coins, uh, with especially with this shield in the middle, it just very much reminds me um, of a letter or something, right? Nowadays it would certainly be a text or like a message on social media or something like that. But I also do associate the suit of coins with digital communication often. So I think the answer is going to be yes, but I think from their perspective, the reason they're doing this is like not necessarily to reopen things, but to sort of get a kind of closure, if that makes sense. Um, it makes me think of the way that they might say, well, if I avoid wishing this person happy birthday, it's acknowledging that I haven't gotten over it. But if I can wish them happy birthday, then I'm being adult about it, and I can sort of like end the wound, right? Like I can achieve some closure. So I'm inclined to say that yes, you are going to get a happy birthday message. Um, and from this other person's perspective, it will be to sort of um, close things up, bring things to a satisfying resolution, might be a way to put it. Since you say that you're in a no contact situation, when I see the 9 of batons here, this suggests to me doing something differently than what they've been doing before. And so, if what they've been doing recently is no contact, the different thing would be contact, right? Seeing that next to the 10 of swords suggests like this is as bad as it can get, and so let's put a lid on it. And the 4 coins with the shield, um, in addition to suggesting a message with the shield, also suggests them, sort of trying to, well, we might say defend themselves, right? Like protect themselves, protect their feelings, we might think. Um, and, it could also be that kind of thing where sending you the message so that you can't say that they didn't. Does that make sense? Like covering all their bases, if that makes sense. I'm like, they might send the message um, so that nobody can say they didn't behave correctly, right? Or if that makes sense, like politely, um, appropriately, that sort of thing. Okay, and welcome to anyone who might be joining. I'm Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot, and I'm doing some free live readings today. And my list at the moment is closed for free readings because I've got um, several on my list and I don't want to overextend myself. Here's the current list. Next is Silama Watena. And so, Silama, if you're here and would like to post your question, you can do so. I am also available for paid private readings. You can check out the Linktree link in the video description for more information, or you can email tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com to inquire about a reading. I may reopen the list depending on how much time the current readings take and whether or not folks are here for their reading. But I want to honor my commitments and not overextend myself. And so I'm going to leave the list closed at the moment and we'll see if there's time to reopen it. All right, Silama's here. Great. So if you'd like to post your question, Silama, you can do that. Okay, interesting question. So Salama says, I am invited for written and verbal exam by two organizations. Which one will I be successful in, the first or the second? Okay, so for this reading, because we're talking about two sort of possible outcomes, what I'll do is pull three cards for each outcome. And the first three cards will represent the first organization, and the second three cards will represent the second organization. And so you should decide for yourself right now which is the first and which is the second. And you can do that however you like. You might say, well, you could say like the first exam you took is the first one, or you could say the first one that contacted you is, or that you contacted was the first one. Um, However you like. All right, so we'll do it that way. Okay. So Salama's invited for written and verbal exams by two organizations. Which one will be successful, the first or the second? Okay, so here's the first. It's the lovers, 3 coins, and 4 batons. I'll go ahead and lay out for the second one before I do any reading or interpreting. But there's the first one. For the second, we have the devil, 10 cups, and 8 cups. Okay. Sorry, I was just moving the cards to try to get them not to have a glare and so that they're lined up here. So I actually, let me just look at these a moment, but I think I kind of like the first one better, and I'll tell you why. But let me just look at these cards for a moment. Okay, so we know that the context is an exam, right? A written and a verbal exam. And let's start with the second one, and let me explain why. Even though there's all these cups here and cups, we usually want cups, right? Usually cups are great, but in this particular configuration, they I'm not sure they look so great. And of course, the first reason for that, which is obvious, no doubt, is that we see the string of 3 cards begin with the devil. And so the devil's not a card often of success, right? It's a like um it's about lying, it's about sloth, the 7 deadly sins, it's about being chained to something, you can't get away. Um it's not the card that I would point to say you're going to um be successful here, right? Uh it's more the card that would suggest to me you're going to be stuck, like you can't get away, that kind of thing. And so seeing the devil next to 10 cups and then 8 cups, cups I think of as, because I've been taught this way with my teacher, as the slowest suit of the 4 suits. And so in an exam, you don't want to be slow, right? You want to be quick in an exam. You want to be fast. You want to be sharp. And if what you've got instead are all of these cups, it's just so many of them, that suggests um, slowness, going with the flow. You don't want to go with the flow in an exam. You want to attack it. You want to work at it, right? And so, um, I can imagine someone saying, "Well, but there's 10 cups. That's great. That's fun. That's celebration, right?" And maybe, but next to the devil and in the question about an exam, I don't know that you want cups. You want cups if you are trying to figure out how the after party's going to go, right? But for the actual exam itself, um, I don't think so. And so these cards are all very, very slow. I think of the devil as a slow card, and the cups are slow cards. So I think the problem with the second exam or set of exams is going to be speed, right? Like it's going to feel like there's not enough time to do all of the things that you're supposed to do, and that is likely to be the primary challenge or obstacle that you're coming up against. There could also be with the second exam something around being afraid. fear. And I say that because, again, with the devil makes you like the devil's going to tell you, you can't do this. You're not good enough. The devil makes you believe things that aren't true, right? And then with eights, I tend to think of hopes and fears. So while you might have great hopes of doing well, your fears or anxieties might also get at you and slow you down, right? And so those are the problems that I see with the second set. Let's look at the first set, and I'll explain why I think they're better. So obviously, we're not talking about any kind of relationship context here. So the lovers has nothing to do with oh, you'll meet the love of your life at the exam. No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Um, but what I do think we get here with the lovers is at first, because it's the first card, you may hesitate. Okay. And so overall, I'd say something to pay attention to in both exams is your sense of confidence, right? And be careful of losing confidence. Be careful of feeling like you should just go with the flow or that you are waiting for someone to tell you what to do. I think you're probably better off um, taking your own initiative and like don't wait too long for inspiration to strike you, for Cupid to shoot you, right? Um, because that hesitation could cause you um, problems. But then we get 3 coins. 3 coins suggest to me learning and the growth of the mind. That's something you wanna see in an exam, right? Is that you have learned and that you are still learning, no doubt, but that you're getting some results, right? And then with the 4 of batons, things are secure and stable, right? The effort that you're putting in with batons, I think the effort you're putting into it is steady and strong and stable, and you're sitting at the desk or you're at the exam room and you're doing the things that they are asking you to do. Like you're putting in the right effort to do them. And so, for that reason, my answer to your question is going to be number one. I'd say number one here looks more favorable or auspicious than the second one does for the reasons that I mentioned there. The other thing I would say that is a benefit to the first set of cards is while these first 2 cards are not necessarily super fast, because again, I'm thinking with an exam, you probably want speed, right? If you're having to write, if you're having to do, an oral exam, a verbal exam, speed is probably part of what they're going to be judging you on, and so if you're super, super slow, that's a problem. The Lover's card can be kind of a slow card. Coins are a little faster, and batons are very fast in the way that I read the Marseille Tarot. And so this shows a progression of speeding up from slow to a little faster to fast. And that I think also makes the first string of cards more favorable than the second, which is sloth and cups, which is slow, slow, slow. Okay. So that is my answer to you. And of course, I wish you the best of luck with both exams. And I think now would maybe be a good time for me to clarify that I don't believe that any of my readings are set in stone or that they're fate or destiny. And so I would never want anyone ever to make major life decisions based on the idea that, like, oh, well, the devil was in the second one, so I shouldn't even do that. I would not at all advise that. Yeah. Um, because in my own personal experience, have found that sometimes the cards will, they sort of, I think they trick me sometimes, where they will say, this, it's going to happen like this. And that causes me to behave differently, which actually creates a different outcome, but a better outcome, if that makes sense, right? Like, um, the cards might say, "Well, you can't do this thing because you're gonna be too slow." And then I'm like, "Well, what if I were faster?" And then I make myself faster, and then I do really great at it, right? But I only focused on speed there because the card said I was too slow. And so I feel like they're sort of tricking me into getting a better result by telling me sort of what the path is I'm currently on. Um, so I just would add that in there, right? That sometimes the cards can be kind of sneaky like that. At least that's what I think. All right, so that was Selama's reading. So next up on my list is Mulberry Twist. So, Mulberry Twist, if you are here, you are welcome to post your question in the chat. And in the meantime, I am Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot doing some free live readings today. I'm also available for paid private readings. And you can check out the Linktree link in the video description if you're interested in more information on those paid live readings. I also encourage you to email me at tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com if you would like to inquire about a reading. Okay, so Mulberry Twist. This is the second call for Mulberry Twist. If you are here, let us know, and you can post your question in the chat. Okay, last call for Mulberry Twist. Last call for Mulberry Twist. All right, so I don't know. I think that Storytime Kitchen maybe had to leave, but Storytime Kitchen, if you are here, let us know, and you are up next. All right, Storytime Kitchen, second call for Storytime Kitchen. All right. So, last call for Storytime Kitchen. And if you're not here, then Mark, if you are here, I can read for you, Mark. Awesome. You're here, Mark. Cool. So, if you'd like to post your question in the chat, I'd be happy to read for you. Oh, okay. So, we're doing, got it, a general reading. All right. Let's see what we've got. And I think what I'll do is open the list up for like maybe two more slots. So if there is anyone here who has not had a reading today and would like one, you can go ahead and request, and I'll put the next two people, if they're here, on my list. All right, so let's do a general reading for Mark. And so what I'll do is I'm going to lay down three cards. That's my default most of the time. I'm going to lay down three cards and we'll see what we get. And I may add cards to it because I'm at the end of the list and no one else has requested, and I plan to go for 2 hours. So, um, Mark, you might get lucky today. You might get more than three cards. All right. So we've got the Ace of Batons. All right. A Seven of Swords. Hmm. And a Page of Cups. Let's talk about these. So, for when I'm doing a general reading, the first card down, which is the Ace of Batons, this gives me the topic. This is the place to start from, right? And so, with an Ace of Batons, um, I'm going to ask, if um, do you have a new job or duty? Or opportunity is the other thing that comes up with this card. With aces, we think of something new, and with batons, it's like something you have to put effort into, something you have to work at. It can also be a social relationship, like it could be a friendship, that kind of a thing, as opposed to like a romantic. But the topic that comes up here is like there's something new that you're sort of having to work at, right? That you're sort of having to build on, work on, put energy into, right? And it's causing you some trouble. The Seven of Swords there at the center, ouch. That's um That's a challenge that you're facing. That's, a test that you're having to endure or undergo, and it's not an easy one. Um, it's it's like you've been handed a new thing that you have to do, and or that you feel you have to do it, or like maybe it even seems like maybe you're even kind of excited to do it even though it's also sort of an obligation, and it's proving to be tougher perhaps than you thought it was going to be, especially because we see the page of cups here. And so the page of cups, I don't know anything about the context of who's who in your life or your situation, but it's um, the page of cups is someone who is learning how to do something. They haven't totally figured themselves out yet. They haven't figured out this area of their life yet, and they're trying to make effort, but like they're not a knight, they're not a king, they're sort of starting again or starting for the first time of it. And so you say in the chat that it could be about rebuilding your fighting skills because you stopped for a while and forgot how to readjust and regain what I lost. Well, that would make sense. You say fighting skills, and I associate the batons with the muscles, with the musculature system. And so this could be like starting to do, um, I don't know if it's exercise or training, might be a better way to put it. And you say fighting skills, and swords are about fighting. So that makes sense. Um, Okay, so you're starting up this training to improve your fighting skills again, and I noticed the way that the ace to seven is a really fast jump, right? In terms of the number one to seven, and so there could be an issue here with you. When you like, if you're working out and you move too quickly, you can hurt yourself, right? And so, um, that would be something definitely to watch out for, because if you try to go too quickly, you can end up, not going anywhere, right? Um, I mean, so like I work out too, and I don't do like MMA or anything like that, but I do some strength training, and if you try to increase the weight too quickly, you can hurt yourself, and then you can't lift at all, and then you're like, I would be further along than I was if I had gone at a steadier pace, and so that would be something to consider. The other thing that I notice, let me take a sip of tea. The other thing I notice is, um, so you said you stopped fighting for a while, right? And when I see the page of cups here, the page of cups does not immediately suggest to me someone is predisposed to. And so part of what could be going on here is that there's a part of you would rather do something else. Perhaps, oh dear, I'm getting a warning that my internet connection is unstable. So I hope that I don't disappear. I will try to log on again if I disappear, and let me know in the chat if there are any problems. So what I was saying is the Page of Cups is not they're like, they don't wake up in the morning and think, "Oh boy, I can't wait to fight." Right? The Page of Cups wakes up in the morning and wants to have a cup of coffee and lay in bed for a while and, slowly open their eyes. The cups, as I said a moment ago, it's a very slow suit. The Page of Cups wants to be comfortable and have a good time. And so what you might the conflict, the internal kind of conflict that you might be coming up against now is, how do you get that part of yourself that says, "I don't wanna train. I don't wanna fight. I would rather have another drink. I would rather lounge around or watch TV," or you know what I mean? Because I'm exactly like that too. I am not the kind of person who is predisposed to, like, play sports or work out or go to the gym or anything like that, and so I have to trick myself into doing those things because I know that they're good for me and I get results from them, and I'm happy, doing that, but, it doesn't come naturally to me, and so, I I don't wanna project my own feelings onto you, but when I see these cards, I get a kind of a similar image there of, like, this part of you, this Page of Cups, doesn't wanna pick up the sword, right? And so there's maybe some resistance there, even if the Page of Cups knows that they really should, um, pick up the sword, right? Or at least be proficient enough to defend themselves, right? Yeah, so as you say, you were raised in the hoods, it was brutal, you got beaten, which led you to decide to choose this path, and that makes perfect sense, like, had you not experienced that growing up, you maybe never would have felt the need to learn how to fight, right? To, like, train, for MMA or any of that. Yeah, and so that's very much what I see here. So I think what might be nice to add, um, let's add 2 more cards, and we'll form a cross, and because of the way my camera's situated, they're not gonna fit super, perfectly in here, but what I'll do is put 1 card on top, and this is the card to indicate, your best attitude to take, or the best way you can approach this, sort of, conflict that you're having between the duty that you want to do for training to be a better fighter, and maybe a part of you that is more inclined to put that aside and not do it. And so the first card is what you should do, and the bottom card is like, don't do this other thing, right? And we'll read those 2 cards in tandem to sort of give you a sense of, how you might be able to get the best possible outcome from this, scenario. So let's pull 2 more cards. Alright, the first card's the Sun. On top is the Sun, and on bottom, alright, it's the Page of Swords. Okay, so, that's pretty clear to me. Um, my suggestion would be to find a friend that you could share this experience with. If you like a training partner, a workout buddy, someone who will hold you accountable, but who you can, share the experience with, like, not someone that you're competing with, but someone who you can see eye to eye with, who's, like, on your same, like, level or at your same place, um, and share that experience with someone else, like, it could even be, like a group or something that you join. Although, seeing the sun, we see 2 people there, and so that's why I'm thinking like a friend. Um, what you maybe shouldn't do is the Page of Swords, and the Page of Swords is the one who's totally ready to fight, but I do notice they're alone, right? And so The Page of Swords knows, is like completely ready to pick up that sword, completely ready to fight. Yeah. But they're also solo. And so the biggest difference I notice between the top card and the bottom card is the way that on the top, the figures are not alone, right? They're with one another. They're sharing with one another. So that might be something to consider is there someone else? Um, so, and you say in the chat for those of you who maybe don't have access to it, that's the hard part. You don't know how to make friends. I wonder if re-embarking on this could be the way that you make friends, right? Like maybe the two things go hand in hand. That maybe starting up MMA training and kickboxing again, maybe you make a friend, um, or more than one friend potentially, um, by doing that again, right? Um, that those two things go together. That's a possibility. The other thing I could say is with the Sun card, it's not just that there's the two people who are sharing the experience together, but of course also the Sun itself. And so, one thing I think about there is, getting clarity about what it is that, will make you happy. I think very much of the Sun card is a card of happiness. It's one of, if not the most positive, optimistic cards in the deck, and it's because, um, with the Sun, there's nothing is hidden. Everything is out in the daylight. Everybody can see clearly, for good and for bad, everything that's going on, and so, maybe, something else to think about, in addition to everything I said a moment ago about, maybe finding a friend or a group or, like, make this a social, activity as opposed to something you do totally on your own, would be to work on getting some clarity for yourself about why you want to do this, uh, and what it means to you, and, um what it could add to your life, right? Um, so those are the other two things that I would add. Um, See if you could make this an activity that you're sharing with another person or people, right? In a friendly, warm kind of atmosphere, as opposed to doing it on your own. And think about trying to really be honest and clear with yourself about why you might want to do this, what you could get out of it, the extent to which um, it's something that will make you happy. With the Sun, I really do think about happiness, right? Is r- picking up MMA training and kickboxing again something that will make you happy? Um, and of course, you have to decide that for yourself. But I might say, well, if you maybe you answer yes, it will. Maybe you genuinely find happiness in that, and that's great. And then I'd say do it. But I suppose you could also say um, no, right? Like maybe you say I did those things and stopped doing them because um, I felt like I had to be safe, and and not because it intrinsically made you happy. Does that make sense? And so, that's a legitimate answer to the question too. And then just one final thing I'd add, just based on what you say in the chat. You say friendships make me happy, but unfortunately, no chance. Haha. Um, I had a tarot reading last year. So within the last, I guess it was like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and the reader said something to me that really profoundly stuck with me, and so I'm gonna say that to you, in the hopes that maybe it sticks with you too. Uh, because I had expressed to that tarot reader there was something that I wanted and that I still want, and I said, "But that's not possible." Um, and she said she stopped me and she said, "Just think for a minute that there is a world where that is possible. Just like maybe it won't happen, but like just open yourself to the possibility that maybe there's the tiniest chance that this thing could happen, right?" Um, and so that's what I'd say to you is like imagine a world where maybe you could make a friend. Yeah. Um, because if you go through life convinced that it's impossible, then it might become a self fulfilling prophecy. But if you think, well, maybe it's unlikely, but it could maybe happen, maybe it could happen, then maybe it could happen. Yeah. Um, if people think you're mean and not nice because of the way your eyes look, that might not be true for everyone. There could be a person out there who doesn't think that, right? And I'll bet there is. And so I would just encourage you to, um, just like this tarot reader told me, like just imagine for a second that it is possible that this thing you want could happen. Yeah, yeah. Try. That's all you have to do is try. Try and keep going. Yeah. All right. So, um, let me see here. Champagne, are you here? Yeah, just try it. Yeah, see if maybe there's someone out there, and I bet there is, who's like totally open to the experience. You're welcome, Mark. You're very welcome. All right, so I saw Champagne recently requested a reading. So, Champagne, if you were here, I will read for you. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm at about 2 hours, which is what I was aiming for. All right, sounds like Champagne is not here. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out for today. It's about time for me to figure out what I'm going to do for dinner. So I have been Will from the Hermit's Lantern Tarot and doing some free live readings today. And thank you so much to everybody who came and participated and was engaged in the chat and asked their question and let me read for them. For anyone that I missed today and didn't get to read for, I'd be very happy to read for you in a future live stream. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so that you can see more easily when I schedule live streams in advance. I'm also available for paid private readings, and you can check out the link in the video description if that interests you. I'm also available via email at tarot.hermit.lantern@gmail.com if you'd like to email inquiring about a reading. That will do it for me here today. And I look forward to seeing you all next time. Be kind to one another, take care of each other, and I will see you in my next live stream. Bye, everybody.